Hello and welcome to the Blue Collar Bible Guy podcast. As always, my name is Mike and I'm the Blue Collar Bible Guy. Today, I welcome you to day 16 of our journey to read through the Bible together in 2026. If you're a day behind, no problem, we'll get caught up. Today's reading is Genesis chapter 48 through 50, and we're going to cross over into Exodus chapter 1. As always, I want to remind you to please like and subscribe to the program and send any comments to bluecollarbibleguy@gmail.com or comment below. Let's get started. In our overview, Genesis chapter 48 starts with blessing the next generation. Here we see Jacob blesses Joseph's sons, and once again, God reverses expectations. The younger is blessed over the older. Jacob is old, weak, and near death, but spiritually clear. This chapter reminds us God's work is bigger than one lifetime. For working people, this matters. You may not see the full payoff of your faithfulness, but it still counts. And your children and family are going to remember all that you did. Genesis chapter 49 are words that shape futures. Jacob speaks prophetic words over his sons. These aren't sentimental blessings, they're honest assessments. Sin is named, strength is acknowledged, and consequences are not hidden. This chapter shows us something culture avoids. Truth spoken in love is a gift. Sometimes it's hard to hear it at the moment, but overall, if you accept the truth that's spoken to you, you'll learn that it's something that's going to help you grow. Genesis 50 gives us the death, forgiveness, and perspective that happens in life. Jacob dies, and Joseph forgives his brothers again. Joseph's famous words matter here. He says, "Ye thought evil against me, but God meant it unto good." Joseph doesn't minimize evil. He just refuses to let it define the story. Genesis ends reminding us faithfulness often only makes sense looking backwards. There's going to be a lot of bad things that happen to you in life, circumstances that we aren't going to be happy with, but we can't let those things define who we become. We have to let God's word and his spirit define those things. And moving on, we roll over into the book of Exodus, and we see a new threat and a new season for Israel. A new Pharaoh rises, one who doesn't know Joseph. Fear replaces gratitude, power replaces memory, and oppression replaces hospitality. Here, Israel becomes slaves in the land of Egypt rather than part of the leadership team. God's people multiply and are immediately pressured to conform, comply, and submit. Sound familiar? This is the transition from favor to friction for Israel. Our verses of the day, Genesis 50:20, says, "But as for you, ye thought evil against me, but God meant it unto good." This shows perspective forged through suffering. Joseph has a proper perspective on what had happened in the past. Completely different than the perspective he had when he was a young man sold into slavery by his brothers. The next verse I want to key in on is Exodus 1:8, where it says, "Now there arose up a new king over Egypt, which knew not Joseph." The cultural memory disappears fast, and Israel's viewed in a different light by Egypt. And a few verses later in Exodus 1:12 it says, "But the more they afflicted them, the more they multiplied and grew." Pressure does not stop God's purposes, and it tends to have a way of causing growth among his people. The main truth of the day is that God's faithfulness outlasts generations, systems, and cultural shifts. And his people must learn to live faithfully when favor turns into pressure. So how does that work for us as working class Christians? Right now we're watching that cultural memory fades, Christian influence diminishes, and faith has been reframed in our culture as a problem. And there's a huge pressure to conform to the ways of the world. Genesis 50 and Exodus 1 tells us this is not new. On the job, don't be shocked when values you once shared are no longer respected. Don't panic when faith becomes inconvenient for those around you, and don't compromise just to stay comfortable. Joseph stayed faithful under favor and under threat. And at home, always speak truth clearly to the next generation, model faithfulness to your family and not fear, and teach perspective, not outrage. Jacob blessed forward, Joseph forgave forward, and Israel multiplied forward. That's how God's people live when there is a huge shift in the culture away from Christian values. We don't always get louder, we don't get angrier, we just become steadier. I believe if you're walking this challenge to read the Bible with me in a year, you're part of something much bigger than just a podcast episode. Here's how you can help others find it. Follow or subscribe to the Blue Collar Bible Guy podcast on your favorite podcast app. Leave a short review. It really does help working people find the series. And share this episode with someone who feels pressure to compromise. And I'd love to hear from you. What stood out from the end of Genesis? And does Exodus 1 feel familiar to you in your life? Leave a comment or email me at bluecollarbibleguy@gmail.com. And always remember to stay in the Word, stay faithful, and small obedience done daily builds a strong faith over time. I'll see you tomorrow.